By the grace of God, I am what I am. By the grace of God, I am what I am, and his grace toward me was not in vain. 1 Corinthians 15:10. The way we continually talk about our own inabilities is an insult to our Creator. To complain over our incompetence is to accuse God falsely of having overlooked us. Get into the habit of examining from God's perspective those things that sound so humble to men. You will be amazed at how unbelievably inappropriate and disrespectful they are to God. We say things such as, "Oh, I shouldn't claim to be sanctified. I'm not a saint." But to say that before God means, "No, Lord, it is impossible for you to save and sanctify me. There are opportunities I have not had and so many imperfections in my brain and body. No, Lord, it is impossible." That may sound wonderfully humble to others, but before God, it is an attitude of defiance. Conversely, the things that sound humble before God may sound exactly the opposite to people. To say, "Thank God, I know I am saved and sanctified," is in God's eyes the purest expression of humility. It means you have so completely surrendered yourself to God that you know He is true. Never worry about whether what you say sounds humble before others or not, but always be humble before God and allow Him to be your all in all. There is only one relationship that matters, and that is your personal relationship with your personal Redeemer and Lord. If you maintain that at all costs, letting everything else go, God will fulfill his purpose through your life. One individual life may be of priceless value to God's purpose, and yours may be that life. So, in this reading, couple points that stood out to me. Well, majority of it all stood out. I thought it was pretty powerful, but can't cover everything in here because of time. So the ones that really stood out to me, the first one was to complain over our incompetence is to accuse God of falsely having overlooked us. And sometimes we will naturally matriculate to feeling incompetent in doing something bigger than ourselves. And so when we start to think about doing something bigger than ourselves, it seems like all the negative thoughts start coming to our mind. But when we're dealing with God, what's too big for God? There's nothing that's too big for God. So know whenever if God places something on your heart that it may be too big for you. No doubt about it. But for God it's not too big. And if he places it on your heart, he's going to give you the wherewithal to make it happen. Second thought was we say things such as, "Oh, I shouldn't claim to be sanctified. I'm not a saint." I've caught myself saying that. I'm not a saint, but we're telling God that what his word says, what his word says is not legit. It's not true. So we have to get away from thinking outside of how our mind thinks and works, and start thinking about how God minds, how his mind works and how God thinks of things. And if God says that you are sanctified and you are a saint, you can rest assured that you are sanctified and that you are a saint. There are opportunities I have not had and so many imperfections in my brain and body. And no, Lord, it isn't possible. How many times we have told ourselves that, and we talked about that a little bit earlier, that it just seems that it's a lot of things are impossible, that we may desire or want to do. And we may even tell God, I can't do that. Can you imagine having the uh, wherewithal or the audacity to tell God, no, 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 it's impossible. Man, that's you're a pretty bad dude when you can tell God that. But that's what happens to us sometimes, that we don't feel competent in being able to do those things. And there's so many reasons why we may feel incompetent. But again, as we talked about earlier, shared earlier, it with God it's possible. God will be the one to make it happen. And so when it's as you're doing it and when it's completed, we will always remember to do what? Go back and glorify God, because we knew that it was all done by him. And we're not getting wrapped up and caught on ourselves and what we can do, because we know that it was so big we couldn't do it. We immediately go right back and say, Lord, glory be to you. And the last one here was, there is only one relationship that really matters, and that is your personal relationship to your personal Redeemer and Lord. That's a relationship that matters most. And when we're working on that relationship, and this is not like a weekly or on Sunday for 60 minutes or whatever type of relationship. There's no way that I can claim that I love the Lord and I want to be around the Lord and I'm just hanging out in a building for 60 minutes with him. Is that really saying that I love him? And so we're constantly working on that relationship day in and day out. And you with studying God's word, reading reading God's word, spending time with other believers, spending time with people that aren't believers, and you're sharing the good news of Jesus Christ with them. And it talked about us the I'm sorry, your personal relationship to your Redeemer and Lord. He is our Redeemer. He is the one that pulls us out of the quagmire, out of the lake of despond, all of the things that's been holding us back. He redeemed us. Our relationship with him no longer is separated. And so when Jesus Christ, when we're redeemed, he brings us back because of that shed blood. He brings us back into fellowship, back into that relationship with God. And there's nothing better than that. One individual life is of priceless value to God's purpose.